What if 2025 is the last year of crypto and the attention for crypto and everything just dies off all throughout 2026? We never see.
Sometimes the legislation doesn't necessarily lead to the price gains, but I just see it more of like in a long-term picture. I think, say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Bitcoin will succeed because now the foundational levels are set for these things to continue to grow.
How is it that this is like essentially the best year for crypto and it's the worst fucking bull market we've ever had?
This is why I think a lot of people are upset with this year, and because it's either been sideways or just down.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of whatever the fuck this is. Joining us today is Just in the Mind, Enzo, aka AlphaStack, and your boy Wolfie. So today we're going to be talking about the 2025 crypto recap. What are some of the subjects you guys want to discuss, huh?
There's a whole lot of them. We got about 50 different topics. I think one of the most interesting ones that kind of stood out to me was this idea that Bitcoin, or even the market in general, got everything it wanted, but still dumped. Curious to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I mean, that's like happening like right now.
Literally happening right now.
So it kind of covers every single topic, right?
It does in a way, yeah, actually. So I guess it's kind of a good place to start, but also
So basically the question is, or I guess the topic is, the point is, how is it that this is like essentially the best year for crypto and it's the worst fucking bull market we've ever had?
Yeah.
That's basically the...
How do we make that make sense?
We can start with the fact that Bitcoin did all-time high this year, 125K. And the question would be like, okay, what was happening around that specific moment that caused that all-time high?
Well, there's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that happened in terms of like regulations, the presidency, right?
Yeah.
Wait, was Trump elected this year or last year?
This year, started this year.
This year, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, I mean, the whole like Trump debacle, right?
Yeah.
But the price is still dumping. Bitcoin did like a new all-time high and actually performed fairly decent. I think it was like a 7x from the very bottoms, due to all the DATs and all this crazy stuff. But Ethereum, I think, like went up above the all-time high for like a split second, and then came back down like that. Just because of that, and because so many altcoins are paired with Ethereum, we never really saw altcoin season like we saw in all the other years. So I think like the worst thing about this entire cycle is the fact that we haven't seen an altcoin season. We saw the Solana meme coin season, which was fucking lame, right? And I think that's it.
Well, a lot of stuff happened, right? So,
and NFTs were last cycle, right?
Yeah, no, the cycle. So, for example, the 125K, I think that was around this kind of DAT ETF hype, right? That was kind of the peak of that.
Yeah.
And so that was pushing Bitcoin to 125K all-time highs. The same thing for Ethereum, right? So there was a lot of hype around Ethereum DATs. Kind of, it was like first was Bitcoin DATs and ETFs, and then Ethereum. But both of these broke, I think, due to that. But then also, I think another important discussion is what happened in Solana, like you said, meme coin, and that was the start of this year. So maybe that's how we should do it. We should talk about things that happened at the start of the year and then kind of move to the end of the year.
All right, so you lead off the discussion. What is like one of the first things that happened at the beginning of the year that you were hyped about?
I don't know. When does the president get elected? Do you guys know what month?
Talk towards the mic.
What I think it's early on that Trump got elected. I don't know. Was it April?
Yeah, I mean, he's
Remember myself.
he's put into power like in January, no? Or in February, right?
Start of this year.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. That kind of was, I think that's about the peak of this kind of Solana meme coin frenzy. Because this is when Trump launched his token, like the Trump token. And so that was, I think he launched it like 3 days before he got elected.
No. That was the if I'm not mistaken, that was the end of the meme coin cycle.
That's what I mean. Well, that's the very top, and then it crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the end, or the peak is what I think I said.
Okay, yeah, you're okay. Yeah.
But so yeah, I think that was kind of the first thing that happened this year, is that we didn't get an altcoin season. We had this like really weird Pump.fun meme coin frenzy. That was kind of like what we got this year. That was kind of like in this cycle. That was kind of the new meta.
Well, that was like Murad 2024 when he went to Token 2049 2024, and like that whole thing happened, right?
The end of last year going into the start of this year. And that was kind of the most exciting in terms of prices. That's
not even a 2025 recap. That's like so if anything, I feel like the recap point should be the death of meme coin.
So it starts from there, yeah.
basically started this year.
And unfortunately, from that kind of Trump token and the crash from the start of this year, it's kind of just been down constantly. I mean, what's happened with Bitcoin?
Meme coins.
Price in general, because the start of this year, around that kind of Trump token, the fall of the meme coins, the Bitcoin price was about 120K, something around there, right? 117K.
Was it?
So it's the price then and now is all. I mean, now it's actually lower.
I can't even really recall that far back, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I barely remember who I fooled yesterday, Lo.
So I mean, this is why I think a lot of people are upset with this year, and because it's either been sideways or just down.
And it's almost kind of like that's what set the tone, right? Like, because we had that initial kind of blow off top with meme coins, which a lot of people assumed was going to be something that sent us into a strong bull market, but instead it kind of broke at the beginning of the so-called cycle that people were kind of expecting.
So one question would be, does that mean we've been in a bear market the entire year? Or have we kind of like slid into it?
I mean, if we're taking that price action into account, technically you could kind of say we're going sideways.
Yeah.
Right? Which doesn't sound good either way.
Yeah.
It did very much feel like that. Like I never felt at any point that the market was going way high, but I also didn't feel the market was crashing at any point. So it did very much feel like a sideways.
But what are some of the factors that you think caused that, right? Like one of the things that we can talk about that happened this year that was like a massive catalyst and point. I forget exactly when it happened, but was the Bybit, $1.5 billion hack, the like biggest hack in financial history. I think it still holds the record for that, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So that alone, $1.5 billion was basically extracted out of the market, and that they had to fill the hole.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one selling event.
I mean, what's interesting about that is you would think that a giant event like that would trigger a hardcore bear market. And it almost didn't. I mean, right after the event, people were a little bit shaken.
Ethereum crashed for a while.
Yeah. And it's pretty much up now. Within a span of like 2 or 3 months, I would have thought, sort of like FTX, right? FTX caused a long-term bear market for 2 3 years. And I would have thought something like...
That's because there was a lot of contagion with that.
Yeah, knock-on effects.
So everybody, all of the exchanges were basically loaning users money to trade against users and B-book and do all this other stuff, right?
Well, and to Bybit's credit, then it could have happened with Bybit, but I think Bybit handled it very, very well, and they prevented this kind of knock-on effect. And you're totally right; it could have happened that way. Bybit would have been a little bit more slimy, not giving funds back, and been more opaque about what was happening. It could have had that type of chain reaction.
Well, the thing that also saved Bybit though was the RWAs, them integrating and incorporating stock market onto their stock trading, equities trading, because of that. I mean, their volumes like doubled, if not more, from just gold and all of the different equities that you can trade on there. So I think that like the fact that they didn't collapse and then they integrated these like traditional finance pairs brought more trust to the exchange, which brought a lot of the institutional traders over from like JP Morgan Chase or like whatever, right? Like these boomer trading institutions. So when they migrated over to Bybit, that basically brought a bunch of fees so they can refill that hole. Because if I'm not mistaken, of course this is just mostly assumptions, but if I'm not mistaken, they basically took out big loans from Binance and from other people in order to cover the float, the missing cash from all the withdrawals and the bank run. So they survived the bank run, but I'm sure they would have had a lot of interest and like debt being paid constantly in order to pay that loan back, right? But since they're able to make a bunch more money from all of these new products, they were able to fill that up in, I think, like less than a year or something like that. And now they're just printing, right?
I mean, this kind of goes in hand with what you're saying, where it was an important event because, number one, it didn't trigger the bear market. But number two, like you're saying, I think this kind of set a precedent for hacks like this. What happened with Bybit is that everyone kind of came together to fix this problem. Like you said, all these exchanges like Binance, they didn't have to give out a loan, but they saw this kind of a win-win. Like they can loan this money, get a little bit of interest, but also prevent this bigger crash.
Also, yeah, exactly. Also, it begs the question, if Bybit did collapse, how big of a contagion effect would that be, right? Because Bybit became an A-book over.
I think it could have been like a FTX.
Well, yeah, after FTX collapsed, FTX essentially became like an A-book because it was so big.
Yeah.
But after FTX collapsed, all the volume and traders moved over to Bybit, which basically turned Bybit into the number 2 exchange, right? But if Bybit also would have collapsed, would we have had a massive, bear market like we had with FTX?
I mean, so this is what I was saying before, that I feel like it wasn't just the fact that they paid back this money, with the help of Binance. I think it was also important the way Ben Zhao did it. He was very transparent. He was very quick. Like, I think it was like the day of the hack. He went online live streaming that night without any sort of like script to read from, right? And so the way that he
like, oh yeah, bro, we lost $1.5 billion,
Day in the life.
But also, like, okay, so that was the day of, and then they did a lot of on-chain analytics. So, like, when this money was going through, not Tornado Cash, but Slingshot.
No. I think it was and it's pretty funny. There's also something that happened this year, but it was laundered or like filtered, whatever the fuck, through Thorchain.
Thorchain, yeah.
And then Thorchain got hacked.
Mm.
And it's funny because like it was like their most profitable time throughout the entire, I think, ever. And then Thorchain got hacked by the same exact people, Lazarus, right? And then they used something to even hack like their own funds or something. It was basically like a taste of karma for them because they were like, oh, it's our profitable day. And
well, so Thorchain was used because many of the other mixers, they wouldn't accept payments from specific wallets. Bybit identified all these wallets that are connected to Lazarus, and they kind of put that list out there. And most exchanges, they like blacklisted those, and a couple didn't.
Like they should.
Well, exactly. So that's the thing, is now there's a precedent set that if a big hack like this happens, the exchanges work together in order to protect those, or not protect those funds, but like freeze those funds. So again, this is like a new precedent. So I say this because I think this Bybit hack, it could have been terrible, but actually ended up being really positive for the entire industry. I mean, it's a shame for Bybit. They lost a lot of money. But I think since then, I think
they're doing fine.
Yeah, I think now they're actually doing better than they were before this hack. So long run, it's a good thing. So another thing I think we should talk about is, because I think is really important, is the Bitcoin strategic reserve. This is something that people have been talking about for years and years and years and years. And this year, President Trump actually signed a bill saying that this will happen. I can go into more of the details. Do you guys know much about it?
No. I mean, I see it as the exact same as like 2017. Everyone was hyped for like institutional acceptance, right? We got into the CBOE. We first had like the BTC1 futures contracts and pairs tradable for Bitcoin. And then when it finally happened, it was the top of the bull market. 2018 bear market came, and we had this there the entire time. And then that
used as like a sell the news type of event, like sell the news type of moment.
Something like that. And I don't know why, right? But now we have, everyone's like, oh yeah, we want countries to start buying Bitcoin. And now we have America essentially having this strategic reserve, but it did nothing for us, and the market's just down only since that happened. So
you have to realize too that this type of thing, it has an effect in the short term. But a Bitcoin strategic reserve, the whole idea is that it's not like they buy that day. It happens over a long period of time. And so America as a government is going to be buying for years.
No, if I'm not mistaken, they're not buying. They're just holding things that they...
No, they're also buying. So they have they're not going to sell what they've collected. But they also have this, it's called budget neutral. And so the idea being they have to buy this Bitcoin with funds that they haven't, it's not coming from taxpayer dollar. And their goal is to have a 5% of the total supply. And the reason why it's 5% is because that mirrors the gold supply. So America has 5% of the total gold supply, and so they want 5% of the Bitcoin supply. So
they're also seizing to collect it as well.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I think that's like their main thing, right? Is like they're not selling. Before they used to auction out seized tokens. Now they're holding it and putting it into the strategic reserves.
Well, so that's the thing, is they need to find it in a budget neutral way. If they can seize it, then they don't have to spend money. So yeah, like they will, in the bill, they said that they will buy up to 5%, and they're going to do it in stages, and it needs to be budget neutral. Seizing, maybe that cuts into that supply. Like, so if they seize it, they don't have to buy it.
Well, one thing that happened this year was the what is that guy that they busted in Cambodia? What's his name?
Oh, the Chinese dude?
Yeah, the like
I don't know his name.
the pig
Yeah.
whatever
Butcher.
scammer guy. Yeah, pig butchering thing. I mean, that was like the biggest
Oh yeah, that's right.
the biggest seizure
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, how many tokens was that? Do you guys know? Do you
I
guys
don't know
know?
the number.
I don't
It
either.
was a large amount though, yeah.
That was just like recently, right? Like a
Yeah.
few months ago.
Yeah, just a couple months ago.
I mean, one thing that people were saying about this, so people are saying that the way they got those funds is a bit suspicious because they essentially were able to just open up the wallet, take the funds, and move it. So the question is, how did they get that seed phrase? So some people were saying, well, this is a case where they're able to hack Bitcoin wallets now. But in my opinion, I think it's more probably social engineering, or like they tortured him or something like that.
No. He's still on the run. They still
Okay.
haven't captured him.
So then the question is, how did they get those funds?
So that's
Because
I'm assuming they hacked them, right? Like North Korean has hacker teams. I'm sure the CIA has hacker
I
teams.
mean, maybe hack the computer.
Yes, yeah, hack the computer. That's
How
what I
did they
mean.
get it, right? So hack the computer. Perhaps they got his phone. They hacked into the phone, and he was like already logged into his wallet. Okay, done. But there's also, it could be that they somehow got a seed phrase.
If Lazarus was able to hack Bybit, I'm sure that the CIA or the NSA or something would be able to hack this guy that thought he was untouchable.
I mean, Bybit was also social engineering, right? Like they
No. Bybit, they hacked into one of the developers or something like that. One of the teams.
It's Gnosis, yeah.
Systems, and then they use that to put to spoof the transaction or whatever page, so that it redirected the transaction.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty sophisticated
It's
attack.
like a fake, multi-sigs, right? Gnosis multi-sigs. They made a fake Gnosis multi-sig page, and then they got all of the employees to then log into this page and use it. So yeah, it's very sophisticated, but it's also not hacking the seed phrase. So in that situation, the Bitcoin security was actually as solid as it's always been. It's the things around the periphery that's the choke points or the issues.
So I also wanted to spin it back to meme coins as well. One other thing that I think was like a huge catalyst for actually a negative effect on the market as well is that money wasn't flowing back in from the protocols that were essentially keeping the meme coin entire market afloat, right? Like Pump.fun. I mean, Pump.fun and all of the protocols, the trading protocols, the Bull X's, the Photons, all of those guys that were essentially sucking up fees from that entire market, and none of that money was coming back into the market through Solana. Essentially, it was just kind of being extracted out of the biggest kind of market mover that we had this year, which was essentially meme coins. Right? So money was just kind of being funneled out, but there was nobody kind of putting money back into the ecosystem in other ways.
I think it's funny that like everyone would try to claim, oh, the Solana is like the coin or the network of the people, all the retails on Solana, blah blah blah. But it was all mostly just Pump.fun, and Pump.fun was not for the people at all. Like they were, like you said, they
selling tons of Solana.
So while everyone's buying Solana in order to trade these coins on Pump.fun, literally the exchange is just dumping on them. And I don't understand the cultish mentality that everyone had for Pump.fun, because it was widely known out there, and everyone was like, yeah, it's like the best, blah blah. And this dude they extracted $1 billion in fees, and are still extracting, because that's, to me, that's just insane that people are okay with that. With $1 billion, they could have made a much better platform, and they didn't do that. They just decided to fucking essentially pocket the cash. And I mean, I guess, hey, good for them, right? Like they put in the work, they hit the lottery, hit the jackpot. And in my opinion,
definitely didn't put any fire behind the whole meme coin narrative that was essentially the main driver. There was nothing kind of like coming back into the ecosystem from that main driver. It was just an extractive driver, essentially.
But I mean, they essentially ran off like bandits, in the term of like they made a business and they wanted to profit from it, and so they did that, right? Good for them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, but is it positive for the cryptocurrency space as a whole? Fuck no, dude. Hell no. That's why so many people like Hyperliquid, because of all of the, like, back to the community that they're doing, the whole the new sort of wave of like support back towards the token holders and the community and stuff. That's what we are trying to do with what exchange as well. But
I mean, I guess Pump.fun's last chance to do that would be through the so-called airdrop, but since that hasn't even happened yet, there's still, again, that would be capital injection into the market. You would think through the traders that have been there, but since that still hasn't even happened, it's just been complete extraction in a sense.
The interesting thing to me is that, like we all said, Pump.fun it doesn't look amazing, and yet people still use it. And on top of that, there have been people that have tried to fix this problem. I forgot the name of it. There's a one on base that essentially they have like tiers, and each time a tier is hit,
you know it.
Farcaster?
No, Farcaster is cool. It's a base launch pad.
Okay.
The one that you always Zora, right?
Zora? No.
Zora, that's a SocialFi one. The point is, like, they notice this about Pump.fun, that essentially the creators of Pump.fun and also the meme coin creators, they're making all the money and traders are getting essentially squeezed. So there's other platforms that tried to fix this in different ways. But what's interesting is that none of these succeeded. So it just shows the value of a brand. People know the Pump.fun name, they've used it before, so they're going to stick to it. People are really sticky, even though there are other options out there that they can save more money or
Bonk.
interface. Well, because again, all of these people are trying to solve this problem that they've all kind of failed.
I don't necessarily think it's like, so everyone's trying to build a better product, and I think that there are many better products out there that have already been made. But I think that the thing that people fail to realize is that the main driving force of any sort of project, community, token, whatever, is the users, right? The community. And the people that trade on Pump.fun, which is a lot of people, and I think a large portion of the crypto community in general is like this. The people, like their target market, and a large portion of the American population and the population in general, are pieces of shit. They just want to pump it. They want to gamble, and they want to steal other people's money. That's it. They want to get rich quick. They don't care about like ethics or like this and that and blah, blah, blah. And they basically spent the entire fucking year, all of this year, all of last year, draining one another.
Yeah.
Now you go to Pump.fun, it's a fucking ghost town, right? Like it's a graveyard. Like there's just like a bunch of people streaming, and it's basically like going to Twitch and going to like the very last pages of Twitch, where it's like everyone is just like streaming to nobody.
But what's really sad about this is that if I was a developer, why would I spend months and years building a product that actually does something when I could do like a little amount of work and launch a Pump.fun meme coin and probably get just as much success?
Well, the answer is because you're not a piece of shit, right? Like that's the target audience for Pump.fun mirrors the founders themselves.
Yeah.
The founders are pieces of shit. The users of Pump.fun are pieces of shit. Everyone that supports Pump.fun, in my opinion, are fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah, but
I launched a token on Pump.fun to see like how it works and everything. They literally come in only for like the initial listing pump, and then they dump, and they never want to touch a token again that's already been listed, because that's the culture behind it. So
I think meme coins, not just Pump.fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's the meme coin culture. But I think Pump.fun is nothing but meme coins, bro.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But I think that Pump.fun created this culture, and it was widely popular for a while. But now, because everyone's been drained, all of the fucking boomer kid, or not boomer, Zoomer kids, or what are they even called now? I don't even fucking know. The young generation got drained and lost all their mommy and daddy's money.
Yeah.
They're gone now, and now we have like a new generation basically coming in of hopefully much more ethical traders that want utility and stuff. Is it gonna happen? I don't know. We haven't really seen the next cycle. But hopefully it's going to be more hyper-liquid, community-oriented type of users and traders like that.
Maybe this is the next topic we can talk about. Like, what are some of the tech things that have happened recently? So, for example, we talked about Fusaka already. I don't think we should cover that. But Ethereum has had some major technical upgrades this year.
Yeah, but Ethereum's fucking down only. Nobody cares about a down only coin.
But this is my point. It's like, if I was a developer, why would I spend years of my life building something that has absolutely no effect when I could spend a short amount of time making a meme coin? I mean, we kind of discussed this already, so we're going to go back.
Because you're not a piece of shit, yeah.
But even pieces of, so even people that are not pieces of shit, it's like there's a lot of cool protocols out there doing really cool things, and they've been just down only all year.
No, like here, I think that we need to go back, and this is like what the whole ethos of what exchange is. It's like I wrote it on the docs and everything. I think that the crypto Twitter community, or the crypto community in general, needs to go back towards being in it for the tech.
Yeah.
because with the whole meme coin shit that came out, nobody was in it for the tech. Murad did a whole fucking popular speech saying no one cares about the tech. They just care about the money. And that just created this, like, the culture was already going downhill and it just made it even worse.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need to somehow, as builders, people that aren't pieces of shit, as builders, need to come out and also train and build the new wave of users coming in into not being meme coin pump and dump artists.
Well, one thing that has happened this year that's along these lines of actual productive value is RWAs and stablecoins. I feel like
That's
this year
good.
that was a thing that happened this year.
That's probably the most unique and like best thing that could happen this entire year. I agree. Well, probably like the entire time in crypto, because if we get all of the S&P 500, all of the stock market, the Nasdaq, the Wall Street, everything tokenized.
Yeah.
And instead of being 9 to 5 or whatever the trading hours are for the New York Stock Exchange,
Friday, yep.
or like Forex or whatever, if we have everything tokenized and everything is 24-hour markets,
Yeah.
I mean, that is way more efficient, way more real, right? Because not everyone trades. Everyone trades the American hours, but not everyone's in America,
Exactly.
right? But that's like probably one of the best use cases for blockchain technology as a whole.
Well,
So
if they want to, yeah, exactly. If they want to do this, there's already a technology that exists to enable this, which is the blockchain. They don't have to go and recreate it from the ground, right?
yeah, but that's what but they need to create the infrastructure, the liquidity infrastructure, in order to tokenize all these.
My point is like, okay, this has been needed for a long time. People want to trade on the weekends, for example, right? There's already been systems open for after hours, but they're always kind of these like janky, weird things. Blockchain literally solves this perfectly. That is what it was built to do, like 24-hour trading, and and we also see that it's not just us saying this. Like the New York Stock Exchange and JP Morgan, they also agree, right? This year they've been heavily pivoting into these markets.
But we're just seeing that start to mature right now.
Yeah, well,
right?
the start like halfway through this year, we started really see it, right? And yeah, it's just going to continue. I agree.
Well, I mean, like halfway through this year, we just started it.
Yeah,
but even now we're just starting to get like more liquidity into it. I mean, with HIP3 Hyperliquid, people can make their own like RWA pairs and stuff like that. But I mean, just now on what exchange we're just starting to add stock equities to the order books or whatever. I think it's gonna be like Nvidia and like Tesla and stuff like that. But most platforms didn't offer these as commonly. Like most exchanges didn't offer these. I think now it's going to become a norm that
definitely.
you have to offer them in order to stay competitive. And when that happens, then a lot more users are going to move from New York Stock Exchange, etc., over to these tokenized RWAs.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the market will shift from this 9 to 5, American hours, slowly shift towards more of a 24-hour market. Then once we have the full migration, most likely we'll see New York Stock Exchange and all of these other, TradFi, like massive giants, incorporate the blockchain technology in order to stay competitive with, the third-party offshore stuff.
So how does that affect alts ultimately? Do you think that that's the catalyst that alts are kind of needing in order to have their season? Or
I don't know if we'll ever see an altcoin season like we did before, but I think what that will do is that it will help move all of like the old Wall Street like boomer traders to become more familiar with crypto, because if everyone's trading 24-hour Tesla and they're still trading on the American hours, they're going to have to migrate over to this new system, the blockchain system. And then once they do that and they get a little bit more experience or a little bit more exposure to blockchain, and like, they're not so like afraid of it, then they'll say, oh, there's this other pair that's allowed, it's this fucking poo poo pee pee caca coin, like, and it's pumping, let me trade it. You know what I mean? Then maybe we'll have like more of the Wall Street trading these altcoins, because right now we don't have that. Wall Street's only trading DATs and stuff like that.
right.
I saw recently, I think it was like yesterday maybe, was that, again, I can't remember the exact news, but it was the people in Wall Street, in order to offer these services, they need to also own the seed phrase. So this is because like due to consumer protection laws, like the person needs to be able to protect the funds. And the only way to do that in crypto is to own this key. So the question I was going to say is like, I'm happy that Wall Street is finally getting into crypto, But I also kind of worry about what form it takes, because this will kind of set the norm. Like if it's normal for a user like me and you to not have our key and just have an account with the NYC website and they have our seed phrase, then is it not just repeating the same thing? Like crypto allows us to truly own our assets. But the world what's the way these things are kind of sorting out is that like we won't have our seed phrase. We'll be having an account and they do things on chain. I mean, just like a centralized exchange, right? If you have an account with Binance, you don't have your seed phrase. And I think that perhaps Wall Street will end up taking a similar kind of note or tune to that. And that's I don't know, it kind of worries me a bit.
Well, there's also like custodial services like Siku and what's the other really popular one? Fireblocks, right? So maybe they could integrate, for example, like maybe someone who's trading like $5 billion whatever fund with like mom and pops retirement funds and stuff like that. Like the person trading it or like their individual traders are not going to have access to the seed phrase because they can just rug it, right? But there are institutional custodial companies out there that will handle all of that for you.
Yeah.
So most likely, I think it's going to be something like that.
I agree. This is probably the most likely situation because my mom, she doesn't want to handle a seed phrase. She doesn't want to sign transactions. So I think it will happen. But also it worries me because then again, we don't truly own these assets. And like what happened in 2008 could repeat itself just with crypto stuff.
But I think that it's important for the user to have the option.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think everyone should be forced to handle a seed phrase because what if they don't want to? What if they're perfectly fine with giving
you able to? Yeah.
Yeah, but having the option, you should be able to. I think that's the very.
It's like when FTX happened, a lot of exchanges started publishing their reserves essentially. So yeah, this much,
which is all bullshit, by the way. But.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not. It's better than not having anything. I'll say that.
No. But I'm saying like one exchange was like loaning to another exchange their funds to say, hey, look, we have and then snapshot like, oh, look, we have the reserve. And then they'll like lend the money around to each other and shit.
It's better than what banks do. Like there's no check and balance on banks in that way. I can't go and see how much money a bank has.
Right.
But my point is with crypto, it is possible. And if we don't push for these things, they're not going to want to do it because, like you said, like if they can just get around it by loaning people money and like taking it immediately back, then they're going to do that because is that advantageous to them. But within crypto, we have the ability to make things truly transparent, and I just don't see us heading towards that type of world. I see us heading towards more of like a centralized exchange world, and more of like a CBDC type of world. Unfortunately, but also I'm like, okay, well, I'll take what I can get. Like, I'd rather, like, the system we have right now doesn't work. It's not efficient. It's also bad for the people. Crypto is power to the people, and I think we're going to end up somewhere between.
But I think it's all about having the option, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like some people want to have a bank and a credit card.
I agree. Yeah.
Right? Or they want to put cash under the mattress, right? Like it should be up to whatever the person's comfortable with and what they like. I personally like to have my bank on me. You know what I mean? I like to be my own bank because I can move from country to country and I can, have the funds with me, right? And I don't have to worry about like, ACH transfer and like moving money from this bank over to this bank and like paying the ski
rating hours, all that stuff.
Oh, you need to go to the bank on the weekend and blah 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 in order to get your own money and like I don't like having that stuff, right? But if other people are okay with it, then by all means, if they want to be normies, then by all means they should have that. Yeah,
I agreed. So the option to get a seed phrase is important, but my point is that like they're not even going to give us that option unless we ask for it because they don't want to give us that option. They want to have much more control over these funds. They will give it to us if we force them to.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see how things change, but I don't think it's going to be like that bad because they still need to stay competitive with one another.
Well, this is one of the best things about DeFi, right? So we're talking about Pump.fun, but anyone could have built Pump.fun, and anyone still can build Pump.fun because it's based on open source contracts. So anyone could build these interfaces. And so you're right, like this is a much better system than what we currently have because in the DeFi world, anyone can build a better version and release it,
Yeah.
So let's move on to a different topic. Like what else? So we talked about.
I wanted to spin it actually around since we're talking 2025 and we're in the world of perps. What kind of What do you think perps played into 2025? All the leverage in the system essentially got wiped out when we had these major dips.
10-10, right?
Oh yeah, October 10th. That was
So what do you guys think about like how that kind of panned out for 2025? Maybe not being as bullish as people thought it was going to be.
I mean, I that's definitely a key point in history of 2025 is the biggest liquidation ever to occur, which was the October 10th. I mean, that alone, how many people died from that? You know, the crazy, not crazy, but the rich Russian dude who like shot, or Ukrainian or something. I can't remember. Ukrainian, who like shot himself in the head in his Lamborghini and all that stuff.
Wow.
Like that shit's sad. I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
if we are heading towards a sustained bear market, in my opinion, we'll probably go sideways and eventually up. But if we are going to go down, say like to Bitcoin 69K or something like that, I think we could then look back and see 1010 as the kind of the tipping point, going from like a possible bull market to a bear market.
But like, do you think? I wonder. Like, do you think we'll ever see something like that happen again?
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't know. I feel like, well, because the whole like behind closed doors, the big drama is that Wintermute got fucked because they're one of the biggest market makers, and
He's on the other side of the trade.
yeah, exactly, and like because of not Bybit, Binance's systems,
Yeah.
and probably their own trading desks that were like driving the price down,
Yeah.
but because of their systems, um, so many people got screwed over, with Wintermute being one of the biggest ones. Supposedly Wintermute is suing Binance, and Wintermute is the one that's exiting, which is causing like all of this crazy selling pressure and stuff like that. You know, like, do we have proof? No, but that's just like talks behind closed curtains. But
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever see this sort of event again, because I think that it's been so damaging to the space and to Binance, etc., that they are going to put preventative measures to make sure that these sort of like crazy flash crashes doesn't occur. Because this is the first time that we've had cross portfolio margin as the like norm for users to actually trade with on centralized exchanges, and now even on decentralized exchanges. Before, it was mostly isolated or just like cross margin amongst like certain pairs, but it wasn't like portfolio wide where they're holding spot, they're holding all sorts of things. But I think that, like, you know, in the New York Stock Exchange, if something like this happens, it shuts down trading after, you know, a negative 14% swing or something like that. Like, you know, it puts breakers on specifically for this. Crypto doesn't have that. So I know that Bybit is supposed to be integrating fail safes for this sort of thing to never occur again. I can only assume that Binance is also going to do that.
Yeah.
So will this sort of event happen again in the future? I don't know. This might just be an only like 2025 is the only time it ever happened. I think that as time progresses, the overall amount of money getting liquidated will happen again, because money is just going to keep printing, right? So and then people are going to keep trading. Open interest is going to eventually go up and up and up. As just the way of fiat and things. But I don't know if we're ever going to see this sort of flash crash event happen like it did.
Spicy question here. We can't really talk about that event without also talking about Trump, right? Like that mystery wallet, that a huge leverage trade just before his tweet.
In my opinion, Eric Trump.
Okay,
I think so.
So was Trump good or bad for crypto in 2025 overall? What do you guys think?
I mean, my opinion about that is that I think he's been overall good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily him as a person, but the amount of regulation that has been signed under his name. Everything we've wanted in crypto has pretty much been signed into law this year. So the Strategic Reserve, the Genius Act, there's going to be the new crypto bill. I forgot the name of it. And so hopefully that's soon, if not, you know, next year maybe. So the point is, like, yeah, Trump himself, I don't know, he's kind of a fucked person, right? So he launched the meme coin, and then he essentially, I don't know if he rugged it, but everyone that bought that is now down, right? So not him as a person, but the things that have happened under his administration are long-term things. Like I was saying, the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is going to continue on for years and years and years and years. So even if someone else comes into office, I still feel like the legislation that's been passed under his administration is long-term positive. And not just positive, but like it is like an institutional tipping point. The reason why the stock exchanges and banks and all these people are getting in is because now they have clarity. They know how to do these things.
Yeah.
They know where the lines are. So yeah, I think he's been incredibly positive for crypto. You just haven't seen that in the price movement. I think everything he's done is set us up for like this super cycle.
Right.
Again, everything we've been waiting for is now possible. And it's just a matter of time when these dominoes start to fall and we have this like massive, worldwide adoption. And he's made it possible.
But it makes me wonder if any of that shit, like if it doesn't even matter, because because just like we had CBOE add and essentially Wall Street get into Bitcoin back in 2017, it was the top. We still had a bear market, and then it pumped afterwards, sure, but we still had that super long bear market. It was like a year and a half. So I'm wondering if basically what I'm wondering is like if the fundamental of like these regulations and these things doesn't really matter that much, and the thing that matters the most is the 4-year cycle. The basically the halvening, the way that Satoshi Nakamoto basically designed this in order for the price to pump based on the halvening system.
So again, I look at it in the way I see the legislation as one category, I see the tech as another category, and I see the price as the third category. I think the tech and the legislation has had huge gains this year, but it hasn't necessarily translated into price. The reason, I don't know why, it should be that these things, we have legislation and technology improvements, and so the price increases with it. Like, for example, the Fusaka upgrade to Ethereum is huge improvements, and yet nothing happened. And so I agree that sometimes the legislation doesn't necessarily lead to the price gains, but I just see it more of like in a long-term picture. I think, say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Bitcoin will succeed because now the foundational levels are set for these things to continue to grow. And I think price will, the prices will spike and they'll crash, they'll spike, they'll crash. We go in cycles, everything goes in cycles like that. But I think this legislation is more of like a one-shot and done thing. Right? It's like, okay, now these legislations are in law, it's going to set precedents around the world. And that's not a cycle thing. It's more of like, it's happened, now it's here forever.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What about socials? Like, what sort of social fucking things have happened this year?
SocialFi, so Farcaster, right? They were like an entirely.
I mean, more like
they pivoted.
I mean, like more like interesting KOL shit.
The James Wynn saga.
Oh yeah, the James Wynn saga. That fucking guy. Yeah, he just spun up out of nowhere in 2025, and I'm surprised it's still around.
Well, so I think he had gain after. It was like all wins, gain after gain after gain, and then he started to really pop off. Well, then just went down.
He almost made 100 million, if I'm right, and then lost everything.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't know. But just don't remember.
Forgot the.
I feel like the little bit the year that we've had, speaking of like social like figures, I feel like this has been the year that we've had some of like the weakest kind of like social figures. Like nobody really like coming in and dominating the game as like the social leaders.
I mean, like last year we had like Murad, right? Like Murad was like the guy.
Yeah, but I feel like this year people didn't really look at him in that same light. Like he had his moment, but once meme coin started dumping,
he's like I think he was part of a general. It's not a single individual. It's more of a movement in terms of like financial entertainment, I guess, where it's like there's been traders that are like trading in public. And that has been really popular this year. People watching, people charting and trading on live charts. Like those that in Korea, they had that contest, right? It's like,
or the esports.
Yeah, like a big screen, 6 kind of esports traders, and they're all trading like to get, and those are like a 1-second chart, So I feel like that, it's not necessarily a single person, but it was more of like a new movement inside of social for like that to become entertaining. In the same way that I would watch like esports, like I'm watching 6 people playing StarCraft. But this time I'm watching 6 people live trading against each other.
6 people gambling, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's not just gambling, it's also skill, right? Because in these things, you'll
fucking skill. If you're getting a 1-second chart, get the fuck out.
A second chart is crazy, right?
I mean, the 1-second chart thing is for entertainment. It's faster, more exciting. But it looks to me like something like StarCraft, where it could be that, if I chose this race and you chose that race, then I'm more likely to win than you. But at the same time, to understand what you're doing and then trade against that, I do think there's a skill element there. But of course, the markets are random. Actually, one thing that's also interesting this year was the LLM arenas, right? So they gave like LLMs 10 grand, and then they turned them on, give them like a week time span to see which LLM will get the most gains.
Yeah.
And again, so going back to is it skill or not, like for example, the Grok LLM is consistently outperforming all the others. So it begs the question, like, okay, so then if it's consistently better, it shows that, yes, what happens, like they all tend to go up and down together, but one will go up faster than the others, which shows that this LLM has a skilled advantage over the others.
What other social stuff? Anything else stand out? Something else that comes to mind for me is like content coins. That was in 2025, had its little boom moment. Obviously, also still kind of powered by Pump.fun, kind of a reincarnation of meme coins in a sense. Where they
I try to make one. The pump fund stuff just doesn't work though. That's the problem.
I felt like if you would have launched it maybe a month earlier, you might have hit that last tailwind, because there were a couple creators that were able to kind of get in on that last little.
No, but but look at their coins now, right?
Yeah, no, they're all at zero.
Yeah. So I think no matter what, just because of the culture of pump fund, it's just like, okay, maybe you would have had like a second wave. They only had like one wave.
Yeah.
But I think just the culture of pump fund, they don't touch coins that are already launched.
Right.
They only touch like new coins. And they're only looking for like, what's a pump and dump? You know,
It seems like the middle ground to that actually working is probably happening more on Farcaster, which is more like app coins. What is the biggest app coin on Farcaster right now? I think it's called Clanker.
Clanker,
which is essentially a launch pad. But they actually have a token.
That's why on Twitter you say like, make me a coin with this name.
Exactly.
Or Clanker, something like
that. Right. And so it's essentially a bot that will launch a token into the market for you. So associating a token with an actual app that has some level of utility seems to be healthier. Which who would have guessed it, right? A little bit of utility can actually go a long way.
I still feel like this idea of having a creator token where, for example, a wolf token, where it's like you're live streaming every day and you're giving helpful information and people are buying to support you, and then also they're trying to speculate. I think this idea, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I was trying to do like a treasury token, right? Where it's like, because I saw like how much people were making from the trading fees. And that's essentially just creating a treasury, right? So then basically taking that money, using it to trade or do whatever with. Create some sort of flywheel or something. I mean, you can do that and you can take that token, you start developing, like people were, giving away money for like entertainment. But the problem with like the main problem with the pump fund creator tokens is the culture of pump fund. It doesn't, like, people don't want to buy back in, right? So even if it's entertaining to them, like they just don't care. I think that there needs to be something like Twitch, they have the Amazon, you subscribe to Amazon, the guy gets like money or whatever. So that's like subscription service model. If they had that, then it wouldn't rely so heavily on just the trading volume of the token.
Well, like YouTube videos have the tipping, where it's like I'm watching a video and I could tip.
Yeah, but not many people tip.
No, but so again,
it happens a lot more on Twitch, on Kick. That ecosystem is a lot more.
I think the main driving factor for Twitch is like the subscription model. Right. So like
which I also think about as tipping, essentially, right? You're tipping for content.
I think it's totally different because essentially that's like a coupon, free money that people already have anyways because they're subscribed to Amazon.
Oh, for the Amazon user, yes. But what about for the average guy that actually has to put in his
Yeah, that's different. That's different. But I'm talking about the Amazon user.
Gotcha.
Like that's the main like real driving thing to have content creators make, and like that's like the safe revenue that basically gets recycled into it. If we had something like that for like Pump Fun or for like a Launchpad, then you could use that to create a treasury or to build something or do whatever, and then essentially people trading the token would be like tipping.
Right. I do feel like it's, again, I get your points that there's definitely issues with it, but I still feel like it's a fundamental improvement over what we currently have. For example, tipping. If I tip on YouTube, me as the tipper, I don't get anything back after that. I tip to use done. But if instead of tipping, I purchase that user's or that streamer's content, or sorry, purchase that streamer's token, I can then speculate and sell it later. So I feel like it is an upgrade compared to just pure tipping.
I think you make a great point. What I think is missing is like that layer of gamification that kind of makes that happen in an automated way. So something that comes to mind for me is like TikTok. If you watch TikTok streamers right now, there's a lot of creative streamers that are doing like really fun things where like if you drop a gift, for example, I'm playing a game,
you don't remember the fucking stupid ass like TikTok, the like
NPCs, right? No, so there's something much cooler happening on TikTok right now, which is like they have a game that's modded that syncs with the gifts. So for example, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. If you drop a certain gift, it'll make a bad guy spawn that I gotta fight against. And if you drop 10 of that gift, it'll make 10 of those guys spawn. And I'm getting them in money time, right? Yeah. So the creator's getting money for that. Imagine if you were to do that same thing on Pump.fun, but when you buy that gift, you're actually just buying that token.
Yeah.
And now you're still creating that incentivization. You're still creating that gamification. But on the back end, if that creator does actually blow up,
But
there might be
what games and stuff allows that?
hundreds of games now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of different modded games. People are modding every famous game.
Okay, so
Minecraft.
if a person's going to give a tip on YouTube, kind of
That's pretty cool.
deep down, they're kind of hoping that that streamer would mention them, like, oh, thanks Enzo for the $10 tip,
Yeah,
and they're kind of wanting that immediate
that
feedback.
social feedback.
Yeah, so that's like, of course, they give a tip because they like the streamer, but also they kind of want the person to mention it. And
Yeah.
so what you're saying kind of reminds me of that. Where it's like I give a tip and something happens in the game. There's some sort of immediate feedback from my tip.
feedback.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
fun actually. Like there's certain games where like there's one like this endless runner where you're like running up this hill and things are falling, and when you drop gifts, it makes certain things fall, like a truck or a car. And actually, when that thing falls, if it hits the person, like your profile picture is the explosion, like a bunch of your little profile picture. So it gives like that immediate feedback loop, like you said. But at the end of the day, for me, that's the experience I'm buying when I pay for that thing. But if I were actually to do that, I get that visual experience, but then I also am like buying a token. I think that's a really fun layer of gamification that doesn't exist with any content creator platforms right now.
I mean, what is that thing? Chatterbait, right?
Don't know what
Where the girl puts the thing in the.
How does that work, sir?
I mean, that's kind of the same thing, right? Same concept where it's like if they tip, then it vibrates more or some shit like that.
These are gamification layers, right? So I think live streaming right now for content creator coins is completely missing that. There's only that one thing where it's like, okay, I live stream, just buy it because I'm a live streamer, and you're just banking on that I'll be a big live streamer someday, bigger than I am today. That somehow reflects token price.
I think if we were to have something like that, people would have to build like that stuff and Pump.fun, or the Pump.fun team is just not. They're not doing shit.
Yeah, I think if anybody does it, it could be Zora, who you mentioned earlier. They're building much more. What exchange, maybe, huh? But somebody's got to do it for us to really test the thesis of if creator coins actually work, because there hasn't been good enough, like on the tech side, to really experiment with it.
What would be kind of fun is if it's not just, okay, like for example, going up the mountain, you drop a thing, it kills the player. It'd be kind of cool if there's also some sort of like gambling aspect. Where it's like, I'm trying to wipe out the content creator, because whoever wipes them out can get like a prize pot or something like that.
That's interesting.
Or you make it even more kind of like gambling, where so then people are incentivized to do more.
Yeah.
So I love how we're supposed to be talking about like 2025.
Yeah, we're talking about like product. We're talking about products we should be building over here.
That's funny. Anything else interesting?
Yeah, I'm looking here.
Well, we touched on the social side. That's what kind of brought us out there, is like what's socially content creator coins, right?
That is interesting though. I do want to actually build that now.
Yeah, because content creator coins, I think, was one of the most interesting narratives we had in 2025. I kind of
that didn't really take hold.
Didn't really take off.
But I think it has potential. I just think that Pump.fun is not the platform to do it on.
Yeah.
So I think someone needs to take the crown from Pump.fun. They've had the crown for way too long.
Base is trying to be that ecosystem. I think Base is really leaning into the content creator coins as well. We even just saw Jesse launch his own content creator coin. He's
it's
high on Base.
Speaking about social characters, I mean,
That's the take.
that guy's fucking weird, man. Right? I think there's so many people that want to build on Base, but they just don't want to because of him.
Associated with Jesse. Yeah,
I don't know anything about him. So why is it?
We haven't seen the stuff on Twitter.
Oh, like he's saying weird stuff, or what?
Well, like he does like weird marketing where he's like, Base is for fucking prostitution, and Base is for like pedophiles. And like,
well, the most recent thing that he did is kind of embracing Soldier Boy. And Soldier Boy, there was a list from who's the guy that exposes everyone.
Zach XBT
showed him the list of like 74
scams,
run by Soldier Boy, and then Jesse's kind of welcoming in with open arms,
and then even defended him. So then now people are like, "Oh, your Base is for scammers," Is terrible.
Jesse's thesis is like bases for everyone. So
okay, so this is why bases for prostitutes, because everyone could do it.
Well, no, I mean like they came out with like an advertisement that was saying like this, like bases for, and then it like just kept changing the stuff, and it was like everyone, right? But then like people were saying like, oh, I guess is it for this? And he's like, it's for everyone. Is it for this? It's for everyone. So people were like, okay, is it for fucking pedophiles? Is it for like, is it for terrorists? Is it for stuff like that?
Everyone is kind of scary, but where I do respect what Jesse's doing is that like his thesis is tokenize everything,
Yeah.
including humans and creators, and trying to
Tokenize humans?
in a sense of like
Basis for traffickers.
in a sense of like
Buy an NFT or like a child.
tokenize your personality, if you will, and make everything tradable.
Well, so I mean, this is something I mentioned before, right? So the AI trade bots.
I'll trade you 3 African children for
Jesus, censor this guy immediately.
Oh, so there was this phase in 2025 where AI trading bots were a thing. And essentially what it was is they would scan your Twitter, or you would make this thing, like it could be like a Trump bot. And it would be like literally a file that you enter, like, Trump would say this and he acts this way. So I can imagine that being tokenized, like, okay, this is my personality and you can buy my trading bot from me, or you can buy my like AI bot from me.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't AI supposed to be a catalyst for 2025? That was
Well, so-
like
well,
I think AI started 2024, but
say like maybe we should end this by like making our predictions for say early next year or something like that.
prediction markets is a big 2025 thing as well.
Yeah, I was trying to say, because we talked about that in the last video.
Yeah.
But definitely huge, right? And I think that's gonna continue to pump.
Mm.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
I'm kind of curious, like maybe how about this? What is the meta of next year? What do you think is going to be the next big thing if you have to choose one?
It's hard not to pick prediction markets at this point.
From
Me personally,
So do you think it's going to get even bigger?
I think it's going to get bigger because I think they're going to build more gamification for it. So like perps for prediction markets is already a product that we're seeing. Parlays for prediction markets is now
What is a parlay?
a parlay is like what
Are you a fucking pirate or something?
No, it's popular in sports gambling, where rather than choosing just like who wins or loses, you pick like 5 things that you think might happen, and if you hit on every single one of them, then there's a huge leverage multiplier lottery. So it's a leverage mechanic, but it's betting on multiple outcomes, and you need to hit on all of them. So parlays are good for people that want to bet like a very small amount with a very unlikely scenario. But if it hits and you hit a parlay, you turn $10 into 10,000.
Prediction markets is also a good choice because it's not just say Polymarket and Kalshi. I think that everyone will have their own version of a predictions market. So
yeah,
Binance and Bybit and Coinbase.
What exchange?
What exchange? Yeah, I think
they're building
it will be that.
into the wallet.
Like
now.
it's not just like, for example, Binance was just spot for a while, and then it was spot plus perps, and then spot plus this, right? And I feel like, for this collection of services that centralized exchanges offer, prediction markets will get pushed into that too.
Yeah.
I think prediction markets is like big, but I don't think it's gonna be like the meme coin cycle, like the bubble. I don't think it's gonna be the bubble. No.
What is the bubble then?
It's hard to say. I think honestly already prediction markets is in a bubble. So maybe it will increase, but there's already like a tweet that came out that said like the volumes on Polymarket is like 10,000 times more than it actually is because of how they track volume.
Yeah.
So the amount of users and stuff like that, I don't think is that many.
Now you see like the news companies even like embedding themselves into these markets.
I think that there's like a bunch of people like rushing, a bunch of companies rushing. It's like a gold rush, right?
Yeah.
Like rushing to get exposure to this. But I don't think that there's that many users on it. I personally don't find using it that attractive. I don't think it's like as fun or degen as like leverage trading. I don't think it's as entertaining as regular trading. And I think that that's a factor that's going to drive a lot of users away, or at least to not use it. I feel like there will be a cycle, but as always, it's very hard to predict what it is until it actually does happen.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I think that it will continue to be important, but I don't know if it's going to get this exponential growth from where it's at. It may be like linear and then kind of like drop off and have some sort of average.
So what do you think is the big hitter for next?
I don't know. I was waiting for like, what is yours?
I don't know.
Prediction markets,
Bro,
where
it's
you going?
so difficult to
Pokemon cards.
Pokemon cards are already kind of a fucking bubble. No, actually, I think they're actually going to keep going up. But But I don't know, man. I don't know.
No.
It's really difficult to see.
So
And
my prediction kind of bounces off what you said, Pokemon cards. I think next year will be the year of RWAs.
oh yeah, that's true.
And I think it'll be stocks. I think it'll be trading,
sports
all
cards,
sorts of things.
all the things.
Everything. And again, I think this is going to be a service that most people just start to integrate by default. Like an example of this was, it'd be like Pokemon cards. Like perhaps Binance will have a section just like Craigslist or something, or Facebook Marketplace, where people go on and they can buy digital collectibles.
Let me be the devil's advocate and plant a nasty little bug in your ear. What if 2025 is the last year of crypto, and the attention for crypto and everything just dies off all throughout 2026? We never see.
I think it's very unlikely. Why would you say that?
Yeah, why would you say?
But so I mean, I'm curious because is there any sort of like grounding to that?
Actually, wild.
I mean, so the whole thing of that is like everyone's moving towards prediction markets, right? Like, or maybe they'll move into prediction markets, right? Like the trading aspect, the TA. I think that like, what if we see crypto start to fade away, like we saw Forex fading away and penny stocks fading away? You know what I mean?
So we just essentially become like
boomers, bro.
Like but what would be the assets used for those platforms if not crypto?
USDT, but USDT doesn't.
Stable coins, everything that comes in stable coins.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So no more altcoin season. Like, who's gonna buy altcoins if they don't pump anymore?
So everything is just
Well, I mean, when you look at like
all over again.
when I look at, say, the market cap of crypto as a whole, it was 4 trillion for a while. That's still quite small. So I think there's a huge room for growth. I mean, I know you're playing devil's advocate, like what if this happens? I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think it is likely, say 10 years from now, crypto is not a thing. It's just the infrastructure. We don't talk about Swift cards, right? Or Swift codes.
I think prediction markets is very bad for crypto, because if everyone's betting on like real world events and real world other shit, and they're betting on things that are not crypto, they're not betting on tokens.
So they're using crypto as rails.
They're just using stable coins.
Stable coins, rails. Yeah.
So then stable coins, and then they're detaching from crypto in terms of like gambling.
That's what I'm saying. I think it will become a rails, like the new finance rails.
Yeah,
so
but it's not, but it's extracting volume from real like token projects. You get what I'm saying? It just becomes a gambling platform.
Polymarket was a crypto project initially, right? I think
it still is a crypto project, but I'm saying it's just USDT trading USDT. It's not USDT or E.
The settlement layer, right?
Yeah. So that is going to drive away from altcoin season. That is going to drive away from Bitcoin, because what about if people are trading, binary options on, essentially binary options on Polymarket, for like betting what the price of Bitcoin will be? What if that becomes this huge thing, and now no one's actually buying spot Bitcoin anymore because they're just gambling with this shit?
One of the reasons why I said RWA was also because I believe that I'm a huge believer in AI, and I think that we're not in a bubble yet. We are in a bubble, but it's going to continue inflating for a long time. So I say it's because I think that AI agents will. I don't know if you guys can hear that fucking person talking. I think AI agents are going to continue to improve. And I think that the financial rails they're going to use is going to be crypto because it's permissionless. And so they will use things like USDT to trade. And they're going to do this microtransactions. You guys know like X402? Like this is just going to become par for the course. This is how robots and machines do financial transactions. But it's going to be a payment rail. Just because it's like, okay, agents are using crypto, it doesn't mean crypto's in the news anymore. It's just like how they do it. Like no one cares about credit cards. No one cares about bank accounts. No one cares about Swift codes. We care about crypto because it's like a thing.
And with that being said, I'm getting fucking anxiety. I drink this coffee. This shit is way too strong. Just don't drink fucking Vietnamese coffee outside if you're not Vietnamese.
I disagree. It's delicious.
But anyways, we're gonna cut things off right there. I'm gonna go fucking take care of myself. But thank you guys for joining. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. If you tuned for this long, damn, I don't know why. But all right, guys. Thanks again. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.